Go ahead.
Did you hear anything about the paper? Maybe it was on the radio.
Yeah, I think it was on the radio. I don't
So
know.
what do you do next? What's your next challenge?
I don't know yet.
I'm trying. Thank you. So why don't you have a seat, because we're going to do
Oh, I'm
something.
sorry. I thought we were going to make a speech.
Yeah, you can make one
Okay, now.
first if you want.
We're just gonna wrap up our day, we read the names and say a few things and. That's okay, just sit, relax.
Danny, thank you for your hospitality today and allowing us to be here and stay here and feed us. It was an awesome meal tonight, and it means a lot to us to be able to go through so many hours of physical and emotional endurance, and then come to a place and feel, welcome, and a place we can rest, a place where we can, relax, and so we appreciate that very much. It means a lot to us, and I know it was all last minute, but you were so gracious, and you really didn't want to have no for an answer. I mean, you really wanted to help us, and it's very much appreciated. And so one of the things that we do at the end of every night is, we're running, we run all day long from 7 in the morning till whatever time we end. It's different every night. We stop a mile at every mile and we call out loud the names of heroes that died on a particular day. And everyone who died on that day, we call out their names at the same mile. Then we run another mile for the next day so that there was death, and we write all of those names out loud. So we keep doing it mile after mile consecutively by date of death. And the dates that we ran for today started with December 29th of 2004 and ended on February 19th, 2004. So we only ran for about a month and a half of fallen service members that died in 2004, and that number was 266. So 266 service members died in about a month and a half in 2004. In about a month and a half in 2004. And so what we do is we've been reading them throughout the day for we started at 7 and we ended at 4:30 today. That's about 9.5 hours. So for 9.5 hours today, we ran for 266 soldiers. And so as we're calling their names out loud, everybody doesn't get to hear them, because there's nobody there, really. We're there, and we're calling them, and we're hearing them. And we have a camera that's going, so we're trying to broadcast for other people to listen, families and friends. But at the end of the day, what we do as our ceremony is we say the names again of everyone that we ran for, as kind of a repeat honor to those men and women. And also a chance for those who are here with us to hear those names too. Because each one of those men and women that we ran for today had families. And basically we're standing in for their families as we're reading them tonight. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a few minutes. We're going to read those names and honor them in this house. This may be the largest number of names spoken in this house, ever. Of fallen service members. I don't know. Usually, where we go and we see the display over here, we get to see and hear local, right, and state, but it's hardly as many as we're going to read tonight. And I know that probably most of these names have never been read in this place. So these are men and women from every branch of service who died from every state in the country, but only between the end of December and the middle of February of 2004. And so we're going to take a few minutes and we're going to ask our runners to read the names, because they're the ones that we're honoring these men and women today. And if everybody can silence their cell phones, please, because that's probably the thing that happens the most is we get a cell phone interruption. You three are going to read. And so we're going to go ahead and read them.
Private John Allen Cooper III, United States Army. Sergeant Craig L. Nelson, United States Army National Guard. Private First Class Oscar Sanchez, United States Army. Fireman Justin Allen Sharp, United States Navy. Specialist Christopher Earl Carter, United States Army. Sergeant Damian T. Fissick, United States Army National Guard. Sergeant First Class Rayford Carson Barner, United States Army. Lance Corporal Jason E. Smith, United States Marine Corps. Specialist Jeremiah Harper, United States Army. Petty Officer Second Class Roland Sirlorm Atuo, United States Navy. Specialist Jeff Lebron, United States Army. Master Sergeant Michael Jock Bailey, United States Air Force. Petty Officer Third Class Dexter Costina Orosing, United States Navy. Lance Corporal Brian P. Perello, United States Marine Corps. Captain Justin Kenneth Ward, United States Army. Private First Class Courtney Legerick Thomas, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Pedro A. Manaz, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Calais Happy Barcelona, United States Air Force. Lance Corporal Eric Scott Freeman, United States Marine Corps. Seaman Recruit James Zachary Barker, United States Navy. Sergeant Thomas E. Hauser, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Jeremy R. Wright, United States Army. Sergeant Benny J. Washington, United States Army. Private First Class Curtis L. Wooten III, United States Army. Specialist Elizabeth Aguirre Roja, United States Army. Specialist Jeremy W. McAuliffe, United States Army National Guard. Corporal Jimmy D. View, United States Army National Guard. Sergeant Joshua S. Markham, United States Army National Guard. Private Corey R. DePew, United States Army. Sergeant Suresh Sunil Senanan, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Michael Anthony Leach, United States Army. Master Sergeant William Allen Garrett, United States Army. Constructionman Mario Gaspar, United States Navy. Sergeant Zachariah Scott Davis, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Armand L. Fricky, United States Army National Guard. Sergeant Bradley J. Bergeron, United States Army National Guard. Sergeant Christopher J. Babin, United States Army National Guard. Sergeant Huey P. Fassbender, United States Army National Guard. Sergeant First Class Kurt J. Comu, United States Army National Guard. Sergeant Warren A. Murphy, United States Army National Guard. Specialist Joshua Little Bear Swank, United States Army. Private First Class Kenneth G. Von Ron, United States Army National Guard. Lance Corporal Julio C. Cisneros Alvarez, United States Marine Corps. Lieutenant Corporal Philip Wayne Otis, United States Army. Private First Class Daniel F. Gustafero, United States Army. Major Howard A. Bass, United States Air Force. Sergeant Kiana Denise Dickinson, United States Army. Private Stevie Reed Jr., United States Army. Corporal James Wayne Maxwell Buck, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer Joseph A. Ashley, United States Navy.
Lance Corporal Andres Graham, United States Marine Corps. Staff Sergeant Terrence Joseph Clapperson, United States Army. Specialist Dwayne James McFarlane Jr., United States Army. Corporal Joseph E. Fight, United States Marine Corps Reserve. Corporal Daniel Castillo, United States Army. Sergeant Robert Wesley Sweeney III, United States Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant William F. Manuel, United States Army National Guard. Specialist Michael James Smith, Army. Private First Class Gunnar D. Becker, United States Army. First Lieutenant Craig Lee Miller, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Brian A. Mack, United States Army. Lance Corporal Matthew W. Holloway, United States Marine Corps Reserve. Lance Corporal Juan R. Rodriguez Valesco, United States Marine Corps Reserve. Corporal Paul C. Holter III, United States Marine Corps. Private First Class Joseph Caddy Godfrey Jr., United States Army. Sergeant Nathaniel T. Swindell, United States Army. Sergeant Jayton B. Patterson, United States Marine Corps. Staff Sergeant Cynthia Diane Chappelle, United States Army. Fireman Apprentice Joshua Caleb Pierre, United States Navy. Specialist Elaine L. Kamalvathan, United States Army National Guard. Sergeant First Class Edward Alton Moore, United States Army. Private First Class Francis C. Abaji, United States Army National Guard. Private First Class George R. Gear, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Thomas E. Vidogiano, United States Army. Private First Class Jesus Fonseca, United States Army. Petty Officer First Class Benjamin J. Farrell, United States Navy. Specialist Lassie Keone Brown, United States Army. Captain Christopher J. Sullivan, United States Army. Chief Petty Officer Alan Drew Rosenfield, United States Navy. Captain Rico Marshall Robinson, United States Army. Airman Matthew Daniel Stark, United States Navy. Petty Officer Third Class Matthew David Branch, United States Navy.
Captain Joe Fenton Lusk II, United States Air Force. Second Lieutenant Daniel Marine Brooks, United States Air Force. Sergeant Kyle William Childress, United States Air Force. Staff Sergeant William Keith Prescott, United States Army. Sergeant Robert Thomas By, United States Army. Petty Officer Second Class Jeremiah Leon Lake Yates, United States Navy. Private First Class Christopher Cody Lashley, United States Army. First Lieutenant Niona K. Ho, United States Army. Petty Officer Richard Andrew Williams, United States Navy. Staff Sergeant Jack Arlen Mowbray Jr., United States Air Force. Lance Corporal Eric Samuel Henderson, United States Marine Corps. Staff Sergeant Brian David Moore, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Jose J. C. Rangel, United States Army National Guard. Petty Officer Second Class Vince Mirkoff, United States Navy. Staff Sergeant Joseph W. Stevens, United States Army. Sergeant Michael C. Carlson, United States Army. Sergeant Javier Martin Jr., United States Army. Private First Class Jesus A. Leon Perez, United States Army. Specialist Victor V. Yokin, United States Army. Sergeant Brent D. Swank, United States Army. Sergeant Leonard W. Adams, United States Army National Guard. Private First Class Sean Patrick Sargent, United States Army. Private First Class Megan Elizabeth Adelman, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Eric Brian Passler, United States Army. Lance Corporal Gail Saintville, United States Marine Corps. Corporal Nathan A. Schubert, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Hector Ramos, United States Marine Corps. Corporal Nathaniel K. Moore, United States Marine Corps. First Lieutenant Travis J. Fuller, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Michael L. Starr Jr., United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Alan Klein, United States Marine Corps. Corporal Timothy M. Gibson, United States Marine Corps. Corporal Sean P. Kelly, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Jonathan Edward Ederle, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Michael W. Finkel, Jr., United States Marine Corps. Corporal Richard A. Gilbert, Jr., United States Marine Corps. Corporal Timothy A. Knight, United States Marine Corps. Corporal Kenneth Kyle J. Grimes, United States Marine Corps. Staff Sergeant Dexter S. Kimball, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Fred L. Maciel, United States Marine Corps. Captain Lyle L. Gordon, United States Marine Corps. Captain Paul C. Helenes, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Ronald Dane Reardon, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Saeed Jaffa Kanarzi Torzici Jr., United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Tony L. Hernandez, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Daryl J. Schuman, United States Marine Corps. Staff Sergeant Brian D. Bland, United States Marine Corps. Specialist Taylor J. Burke, United States Army. Corporal Jonathan W. Bowling, United States Marine Corps Reserve. Lance Corporal Carl R. Lynn, United States Marine Corps Reserve. Staff Sergeant Dean Robert Van Hoon, United States Army. Chief Warrant Officer 2, Henrietta Victoria Sharp, United States Army. Captain James Robert Martin, United States Navy. Sergeant William S. Kisner, Jr., United States Army. Corporal Christopher L. Weaver, United States Marine Corps Reserve. Sergeant Jesse W. Strong, United States Marine Corps Reserve. Lance Corporal Brian C. Hopper, United States Marine Corps. First Lieutenant Dustin M. Shumney, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Joseph B. Spence, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Marud Ragnov, United States Marine Corps. Corporal Stephen Patrick Johnson, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer 3rd Class John Daniel House, United States Navy. Private First Class Kevin M. Luna, United States Army. Lieutenant Colonel Jim Norman Putnam Jr., United States Army. Lieutenant Colonel Jeff Marty Ashley, United States Army. Sergeant William Curtis Riffle, United States Army. Specialist First Class, Sergeant First Class Alfonso Hilton, United States Army. Corporal Jonathan S. Beatty, United States Marine Corps.
Specialist Michael Richard Stroop, United States Army. Specialist Robert C. Wright, United States Army. Sergeant Andrew K. Farrar, Jr., United States Marine Corps. Sergeant First Class Mickey E. Zahn, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Joseph E. Rodriguez, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Richard Kimball Jewett, United States Army. Specialist Lyle W. Reimer II, United States Army National Guard. Sergeant Christopher J. Ramsey, United States Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Jonathan Ray Reed, United States Army National Guard. Sergeant Michael S. Evans II, United States Army National Guard. Chief Warrant Officer 2, Charles S. Jones, United States Army. Captain Orlando A. Bonilla, United States Army. Private First Class Stephen A. Castellano, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Terry Vanessa Williams, United States Army. Lieutenant Commander Dennis Gerald Try, United States Navy. Staff Sergeant Derek Lovell Clayton, United States Army. Sergeant Thomas Lee Bonanno, United States Army. Lieutenant Commander Edward E. Jack, United States Navy. Lieutenant Commander Keith Edward Taylor, United States Navy. Sergeant Lindsay T. James, United States Army. Specialist Juan Carlos Mendez, United States Army. Petty Officer 3rd Class Robert James Walters, United States Navy. Private First Class James H. Miller IV, United States Army. Commander Thomas Marshall Hill, United States Navy. Lance Corporal Nazario Serrano, United States Marine Corps. Specialist Jeremy Makia Clayton, United States Army. Specialist Alexander Dumaka Falstone, United States Army. Cadet Edward Joseph Schmeltz, United States Air Force. Corporal Christopher E. Zimney, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Harry R. Swain IV, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Jason C. Redifer, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant First Class Mark C. Warren, United States Army National Guard. Specialist Robert T. Hendrickson, United States Army. Sergeant Major James Patrick Lancaster, United States Army. Captain Sean Lee Brock, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Sean P. Maher, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Richard C. Clifton, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant First Class Sean Michael Cooley, United States Army National Guard. Sergeant Stephen R. Sherman, United States Army. Captain William David Hoyt, United States Army. Adam Blanco, United States Navy, sorry. Lieutenant Colonel Richard Miller Wurzel Jr., United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Daniel Torres, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Stephen J. Bale, United States Army. Specialist Richard Timothy Corcoran, United States Army. Petty Officer 3rd Class Samantha Renee Kuntz, United States Navy. Specialist Aaron Joseph Williams, United States Army. Specialist Victor Alexander Moonhill, United States Army. Ensign Philip Ennis Etchbach IV, United States Navy. Petty Officer Second Class Ivan Cornejo, United States Navy. Major Lisa Christine Avigna, United States Army. Lance Corporal Travis M. Wichlach, United States Marine Corps Reserve. Petty Officer Second Class Jeremy Michael Barrett, United States Navy. Senior Airman Jeremy Lee McGrainer, United States Air Force. Staff Sergeant Zachary Ryan Wobbler, United States Army. Petty Officer First Class John Lewis Rockwell, United States Navy. Specialist Jeremy O. Allman, United States Army. Sergeant Erica Dean Winston, United States Army. Private Jason Robert Tharp, United States Marine Corps. Specialist Richard M. Crane, United States Army Reserve. Ensign James Randolph Motley McMurtry, United States Navy. Specialist Jeffrey S. Henthorn, United States Army. Specialist George Daniel Castellanos, United States Army. Captain Gilbert Anthony Munoz, United States Army. Sergeant Jessica M. Housby, United States Army National Guard. Sergeant Christopher Allen Daniel, United States Army. Staff Sergeant William T. Robbins, United States Army National Guard. Lance Corporal Richard A. Perez Jr., United States Marine Corps Reserve.
Staff Sergeant Chauncey Ray Franklin, United States Air Force. Sergeant Robert A. McNeil, United States Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Christopher L. Shepard, United States Army. Lance Corporal Joshua Michael Baker, United States Marine Corps. Airman First Class Michael Omar Coleman, United States Air Force. First Lieutenant Andrew David Bruno, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Jacob Lauren Figsted, United States Army. First Sergeant Timmy Twan Gross, United States Army. Specialist Matthew Curtis DiNardo, United States Army. Private Cody Lee Cooper, United States Army. Sergeant Sean Patrick Barber, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Chad W. Lake, United States Army. Sergeant Dakota L. Gooding, United States Army. Sergeant Renee Knox Jr., United States Army. Staff Sergeant Ray Rangel, United States Air Force. Lieutenant Colonel Harvey Kenneth Hilliard, United States Air Force. Sergeant First Class Timothy Clayton Bingham, United States Army. Private First Class David J. Bragman, United States Army. Specialist Michael Noah Kennedy, United States Army. Petty Officer First Class Toby Lynn Brady, United States Navy. Sergeant First Class David J. Sally, United States Army. Sergeant Brian David Gilmore, United States Army. Sergeant Daryl Everett Holcomb, United States Marine Corps. Private First Class Michael A. Arciola, United States Army. Specialist Justin B. Carter, United States Army. Sergeant Joseph A. Rahim, United States Army National Guard. Sergeant Timothy R. Osby, United States Army National Guard. Specialist Katrina Lanny Bell Johnson, United States Army. Sergeant Christopher M. Pusateri, United States Army. Petty Officer Monty S. Lane, United States Navy. Senior Airman Colin Ahuni Kabib, United States Air Force. Staff Sergeant Jason R. Hendricks, United States Army. Sergeant Adam J. Plumundor, United States Army. Master Sergeant Ricky K. Rhodes, United States Army. Airman Peter Brian Mitchell, United States Navy. Staff Sergeant Eugene Charles Nelson, United States Army. Sergeant Frank B. Hernandez, United States Army. Private Dirk Robin Paulson Jr., United States Army. Fireman Gregory T. Dorset, United States Navy. Sergeant Carlos J. Gill, United States Army. Sergeant Vincent Edward Zizuka, United States Army. Senior Airman John Andrew Derry, United States Air Force. Sergeant Kenneth Lamont Kelly, United States Army. Corporal Kevin Michael Clark, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Seth R. Trahan, United States Army National Guard. First Lieutenant Adam Molson, United States Army. Specialist Clinton R. Gertson, United States Army. Corporal Kevin M. Clark, United States Marine Corps.
After we read the names of those that we read for, and we always give an opportunity for those who weren't with us and weren't able to hear these names, be able to speak the names of someone that they might have known, a relative or a neighbor or someone in the community that we might not have run for. All of those that are included in our Run Across America are all those that died from October 12, 2000 to present day. So all of those names will be read at some time, at a mile and at an end of day across our journey to Arlington Cemetery. But if any of you here in the chapter house want to call out a name that was not read, that may be associated with you in some way, I give you that opportunity before we close. Would you like to say some names out loud?
Well, I'd like to, first of all, say thank you to all the effort and mission and how far we've come coming from California. That I'd like to honor our Navajo cause. We have at least about 10 of them that still here with us, and that we do have our Navajo talkers that were killed in action. And I will share this with the public, that if it weren't for our Navajo talkers, all the other areas would not have served. And I'm also a granddaughter of a prisoner of war under the United States flag. Before the treaty was signed, that's the reason why American flag and our Navajo Nation flag stands as a nation to a nation, a country within a country. And that our grandfather always stepped forward to serve the country after it came on. And they didn't hesitate, because today now we all work together and reunited. We have many of our soldiers that we have lost over the years of killing us. So what I provided is what I brought. And we did travel to Washington, D.C. With our fallen soldiers.
Why don't you read the names of the code talkers out loud?
Navajo talkers, the first two Navajo talkers, Harry Sosi, other division will be Paul Gay, Johnson Housewood, Jimmy Kelly King Sr., Paul Kennedy, Neil Kirk, Ralph Morgan, Willie A. Nota, Tom Singer, Alfred Sosi, and Howard Sosi. And these other ones here are the ones that we have heard from the war started, there's Storm, back in this one, the previous wars, all this stuff, Afghanistan and back. Sergeant D. Toichi, U.S. Army, Corporal Lyle J. Cambridge, Marines, then Lance Corporal Kevin Joyce, Marine, Sergeant Marshall Westbrook, I believe he was an Army Specialist, yes sir. Then we got PNC Harry Shumby Jr., Army, Corporal Quinn A. Key, Marine, then Specialist Clifton Dazi, Specialist Clifton Dazi. So we got one person too, the two brothers, there was no Westbrook that got killed in action too. So fallen soldiers, so we got two brothers that got killed within a year or so. So I can't remember his name, but he was a Westbrook too. So I just want to say, you guys appreciate the presentation on names and stuff. I will be representing the chapter officials here, and I just want to heart and say thank you for what you guys are doing for our fallen soldiers. It just means a lot to us. It just means so much what you guys do to keep the families, remembering the families, what they're going through today, and what our fallen soldiers have sacrificed to what we have today. We always talk about freedom. We can say what we want, and do what we want. And that's one thing we always bring up to chapter level in our nation, that we take our freedom for granted. But when we see something like this, what we try to remember what our fallen soldiers did for us, finally realize again that freedom is not freedom. It took the sacrifice for our army, for your soldiers to do that to us, and it means a lot. And I really appreciate that for recognizing and continue to remember our fallen soldiers, and that just means so much to us from the nation. And I'm a veteran. My son's a veteran. A lot of our Navajo people have served. So again, we're going to, at the same time, we're going to do our other remembrance of our police officers within the Navajo Nation, which we take the place of Friday. So we did the Navajo, one of our Navajo police officers got killed, was responding to a signal call. We missed the bus back in, I think it was about 6 months ago, 6 or 7 months ago. So we're trying to remember our soldiers. We did Navajo Nation Council passed a resolution to honor those fallen Navajo police officers. So it doesn't mean a lot to us. We have our soldiers provide to us, what our fallen soldiers provide to us. Our police officers, first, not just the police officers, down to firefighters, EMTs, and all these individuals. And we sometimes sit here in our comfort zone and think about, something we take and we forget them. But something like this, reminds us of what we have to do. And that's the really safety that we have, us provide our soldiers and our first responders. So it means a lot to us from the bottom of our heart. I say thank you so much for what you're doing. It means a lot. And again, I wish we could have done something more to bring more people out here, Navajo people, and to see what you guys really do for a fallen soldier and their family. And it just means a lot. But hopefully, you guys continue this, and hopefully next time when you guys are here, we'll definitely have a full definitely will. And again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart on behalf of the chapter officials here. And if you guys don't know what Nagizi means, Nagizi, when you don't say it now, it means Nagiza, it means squash. And we used to have, I believe, she was non-Navajo, right? Non-Navajo. She was non-Navajo that came to this area, and she grew a lot of squash for Navajo people, and she got known for that, and as well in the English version, we call it Nagizi, but in Navajo, it's Nagiza. It's the squash. So just to say, what's Nagizi mean? So yeah, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. And I just can't stop saying thank you. Today is the day that reminds me of what the fallen soldiers and our current soldiers do for us and first responders. Thank you so much. And Hek means thank you now. Hek so much.
Thank you. We're honored to be here. And we'd like to close with just a moment of silence to remember all those that we ran for today. Their families and our mission to remember them all. So we can just have just a short moment of silence. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.